I think we're pretty much good to go. Do you want to do like an introduction? Just
At the very end.
kind of at
All
the
right.
very end, but no, we can just move it around in the editing at the beginning. We can pretend we actually said this at the beginning. Or maybe it's kind of, I'll just say, hi, I'm IBCF.
Hi, I'm
Oh,
Amicus. Oh,
sorry.
Oh, wait, we can just we can do that again.
Yeah, sorry. I thought you were going to say like, oh, hi, I'm IBCF. I'm into X, Y, and Z. Blah blah. I didn't know where to
Oh,
go.
no, I don't know. What is there to know about me? I'm not that interesting. Hi, I'm IBCF. I make animation reels sometimes.
you want to go? You want to go first, Dandyist?
I guess so. Hi, I'm Dandyist, but I usually just go by Dandy. I'm also a huge animation nerd who also kind of makes animation reels and like cuts stuff and uploads it to Sakugo Barus. And I also write on a once in every blue moon. I also write some animation articles too. So just a filthy animation nerd.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Amicus. I sometimes upload to YouTube, but that be like random clips or stuff. But mainly, I do a lot of encoding work for fun, and I also do upload to Sakuga on occasion.
You like know everything about encoding. You're like the encoding guru here at Discord.
Not really, no, not really, no.
Well, no, you're among the people I know. You're always the one who has the delivers the goods as far as you're just able to find stuff. That's how I met you. Just able to like find everything. I know you're always the one who knows the best on code. You're totally up to date with up to speed with where to get the cartoons.
Yeah, I guess you could say that in a sense.
You're my cartoon dealer.
I was just about to say something like that. Just like you got the goods. Like, yeah, I got
Yeah.
the goods.
Thank you.
I got your funnies right here. I got yours.
That's great. Yeah. Shoot. Kini. What's the Japanese title again?
Kimi no
It's
Hero.
Kimi,
Kimi
yeah,
no
Kimi no
Iro.
Hero, which should translate into like literally like your color, but it got translated over here as the colors within, which makes it
Oh.
sound so much more dramatic than it actually is.
Oh yeah. Well, we like our drama in America, I guess. I don't know what the
Like,
idea of that is.
and also like one of the characters is named like Kimi, which I was a little surprised when I watched it for the first time. It's like, oh, there's a leader character's named Kimi. All right, so it could also be translated like as Kimi's color too. Since color is such an important thing in the movie, and
Yeah.
since the main protagonist can see everyone as like colors too, so
Mhm.
I mean a
Yeah.
little.
I think there's like an alternate like official English translation of the title used like specifically on the CD art. Um that that for the CD that released like before the movie came out in the States. I'll have to double check it again, but it was like something it was like all your colors or something. I can't remember exactly.
Hmm.
All the colors, just all of them, all at once.
Too many
Everything,
colors.
every color, everywhere, all at once. Oh no.
Okay, wait. The other title was All Is Color Within, which is I think it's like outside of like the grammatical issue. I like kind of like that title because it's like it kind of also like goes into more like how everyone has a color instead of just the colors within, you know.
Yeah. Yeah. No. That's a way they could have done
I mean, it's one of
it.
those cases where it's just kind of like a tricky thing to translate because like it'd be weird to be translated as like, oh, Kimi's color, and like I like your colors the most, but probably just like that's too literal of a translation. So I guess
Yeah.
the colors within is the best we got. But like, anyways, so like, what's the like you two like? What's the background with like Naoko Yamada here? Are you like were you like fans from day one, or were you converted like later on in your life? What?
For me, knew her mostly for K-On! And like I love her work on K-On! I really need to watch more of her like Kyoani stuff, specifically Tamako Market is one I've had in mind,
Hmm.
but I was mostly familiar with her because of K-On! And that was kind of what got me interested in Yamada in the first place.
Hmm. Yeah, I kind of in a similar place. I started with K-On! It was Tamerlane's old article on the worst anime ever made, which was an ironic, completely ironic title, because he went on to explain why K-On! Is so great. But it took me a while to be convinced totally. It took me a couple tries to really kind of get the rhythm, get the vibe, in a way that I enjoyed. I love it now. I love it now, but like just the moe and the whole, I was just not used to that kind of thing at first, and she just goes for a little more of a live action maybe director approach, which I used to be all totally pretty cartoon purist, and I've kind of mellowed out from that by now. But yeah, I appreciate her a lot more now than I did before. And I saw Tamako Market. I saw the K-On! Movie, Tamako Love Story. Just random episodes. Oh, Euphonium. Yeah, she did a lot of Euphonium too. And Liz and the Bluebird. So I'm a big fan now. Definitely.
Well, for me, it's funny because I think I watched every single Naoko Yamada project except K-On! And I feel like I'm missing like such an important piece of like the puzzle,
Oh yeah.
especially when it comes to this movie, because I feel like because I was talking to it with a friend and I just felt like of every other line he was just saying like, oh, that reminded me a lot of K-On! Oh, that felt like a K-On! Reference to me. It's like, oh my fucking god, just how important is this? That's how damn important is fucking K-On! In the grand scheme
Well,
of things.
you better watch
Because
K-On! Then, huh?
I mean, yeah, this is a show I've always been planning to watch, but it's just like it's mostly just out of laziness. I don't have anything against it. Like this is not 2000 what 11. I can't say like oh it's too moe or whatever. Because I've watched Tamako Market, Tamako Love Story, Liz and the Bluebird, and I've watched some of her modern Saru stuff, Heike Monogatari, and including of course Kimi no Iro. What else am I missing? Oh, I did watch a Silent Voice too. Yeah, I pretty much watched most of her like stuff except goddamn K-On! So, but yeah, but like for a while, I wasn't really like into her work because like the whole like talk, most of the talk surrounding like KyoAni is just like oh my god, it's like moe, all their shows look the same, like no specific like oh they all animate the same too. There's nothing that makes them stands out. Like they're the reason back in like what the 2010s, early 2010s, late to even latest 2010s, just like oh they're the reason that the like anime is dead or like dying or whatever. And like obviously all of it would come back to K-On! So like I sort of stood away from it for a long time.
Yeah.
I don't know what made me make the plunge. I figured duh, Kevin for sure, and like his articles on Sakuga blog. Um I think my first was Liz and the Bluebird because I really liked that. So the thing that just jumped out to me the most was that whole like flat, kage nashi style that attracted me a lot more compared to other KyoAni stuff. And like I didn't love Liz, but like I liked Liz a lot more than I was expecting. I think that's the thing that made me take the jump into like more KyoAni stuff, and by extension more Naoko Yamada stuff.
Yeah. I liked it. Well, I liked it okay the first time, but I just didn't really get like they say you don't need to watch any euphonium in order to it's like a
Hmm.
standalone thing,
Yeah.
which may be kind of true, but it wasn't true enough for me. So I appreciated it a lot more after I saw a whole bunch of euphonium, because you do kind of have to kind of get the vibe of that whole series to understand what Liz and the Bluebird's kind of all about. There's some great episodes. I'm not sure if Yamada did them, but have any of you seen euphonium?
I have not, but it's been like a permanent fixture on like my I need to watch this sometime soon.
Oh yeah. How about you, Dandyist?
I haven't. I haven't. I
No.
no, actually, no, no. I did watch like a couple episodes of Sound Euphonium. It didn't really no, because like I say I watched it, but really I had like on my TV while I was like playing. I was like on my computer like playing like my 3DS or something, so I wasn't like half paying paying attention to it. So I didn't
Okay.
really give it. I did not give it a fair shake like at all.
Oh man.
so so I mean I don't. It's not like on the top of my backlog. I'm not really in a rush to get to it, but like one of these days, like sure, why not? I'll give it a watch. Especially since I'm more willing to take on more Keone stuff because like I have been enlightened. She rewired my brain. I'm just like down for anything at that studio now. Also, I'm pretty sure like Naoko Yamada's credit on like because I still don't know like the nuance behind it. I think she was credited as like series director for Sound Euphonium instead of just the director.
Yeah.
So like I don't really know like what she really contributed on like that sort of level.
Mm.
But like I figured she did a lot. I figured she did a lot of it. Just get like a series director credit. That's still pretty big. So
Yeah, it feels like her kind of thing. Even after she leaves, it just feels like they're all following through kind of the same sort of things she did on K-On! Even in the third season, where after she left the studio, they're definitely just following in her footsteps. So it does feel like they internalized the Yamada, whatever that means. But it does feel kind of like the next step from K-On! In a way.
Yeah, that's kind of the vibe that I got. That it's a very everything I've seen from like season 1 and like season 2 and like season 3, it feels like a very like consistently well directed show. But like, I mean, I still haven't seen it, but it's like it's just everything I have seen from it in regards to like clips and stuff. It definitely feels like a show where everyone was kind of on board with that similar vision that Yamada sort of got, you know.
Pioneered, yeah. That was the kind of, I think she single-handedly probably just changed the whole course of the, well, maybe that's too much, but she definitely pushed the studio in a certain direction for all the post K-On! Projects. I think that's fair to say.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, this movie, so this is one thing we definitely have all three of us seen. So what'd you
Yeah.
guys think? How'd you like it?
Like I know I just said like I liked Liz just fine, but like oh my god, this is my Liz in the Bluebird because like holy shit.
Oh man.
Like I was like pretty interested from the very first key visual because it looked pretty funky. It was just like some random like I think it's supposed to be like the main character Totsuko's hand. It's just like all this reflection and light and colors, and it's just like okay, what's going on here? And like I was kind of worried because, like, of course, like the big departure from Kyoani is a massive thing in general, and like, where is she going to go that can actually like, what studio can like keep up with her? Like, the few studios that actually can, we can like count up on just one hand. So I get Saru being one of those picks, but like, I did watch Heike, and that's a show that really left me cold, and I'm really sad it left me cold because like a big
Mm.
part of it is like the whole like the historical aspect, in the way just like every single episode you have to remember that family tree that spans on for like literal like pages and to just add more and more characters, and the whole thing is about like a war and like tons of people are dying, and oh so you have like this protagonist who's just like helpless to all of this, and it's just like it sounds engaging on paper, but just watching it I couldn't get invested because it was so dense. Like I was just kind of watching the screen just like with my eyes glazed for 24 minutes, and then the ending would pop up it's like what did I just watch?
Oh
Yeah.
man. Yeah. It's kind of more like a historical drama than like a character or just a little more impersonal maybe.
There,
Then
yeah.
yeah, it surprised me because yeah, I haven't seen it or anything, but it just the concept didn't really pull me. I guess I'm just not big into historical dramas of that sort. It just I guess maybe she was kind of trying to branch out, but maybe it doesn't seem like something quite up her usual alley. This kind of less I don't know, maybe more just straight history instead of a very close and personal thing with like a modern day kids. Like this movie is like total opposite, I assume, but I don't know, I haven't seen it. Have you seen it, Amicus?
I watched the first 2 episodes and my and it kind of just boiled down to the same
Just
thing like
bounced off
it
you.
yeah it had a cool style. There were a lot of like neat ideas, but it just didn't really click with me, and it and like I just couldn't really care for it in the end.
No. Oh
I
well.
mean, the people who did stick with it throughout the end says it ends like they like the ending a lot. It's like I feel like it's just not really. That's like one of these cases where you can say like, "Oh, this really wasn't for me." And I was
Yeah.
really excited about it because like the trailers looked so cool, and I thought like it had sort of some vague like Kyoto Giga esque like seasoning that really
Mm.
attracted me to
Oh
it.
wow.
Yeah.
So like of course when I watched it for the first time and like we go full into like the historical drama, we have to learn all about this family, all about this drama, all about the war, and all about people dying. It's just like, oh, okay.
Oh man. It's just a little too what's the word? just too straight history. I don't know.
Yeah, it's just straight. And it's
Yeah.
like, and it's not like she didn't try to like change that, because there is like the main character for that is a character like named Biwa, who wasn't in the original story,
Hmm.
and she's supposed to sort of be like the audience, not necessarily the audience surrogate, but her whole deal is like, oh, she's the character who joins like that family, but like she's watching everyone around her just slowly die throughout the slowly die, or just like they kill themselves as a result of the war. And her
Oh.
whole deal is like she can't age, so like she has no choice but to stick around and like stay and watch the entire suffering.
Oh
And
man.
there's always like there's every episode has like basically like an original segment about Biwa and her role in all of this. And like one of the scenes that really stuck with me is just like she's talking to like forgot who she was talking to. She was talking to like one of the matriarchs of the family, and it's like in the middle of the war, and she was asking like how do you cope and like grieve with all how do you like cope with all of this? And she's just like, well, I don't really know how to cope with all of this. I just forgive, because forgiveness is all I can do in all of this. Because like of course like the character is like a woman, so she, and around that time she couldn't really do anything besides just like stand there and watch everyone around her also die too. And they just talk about that for a couple of minutes, and that's how the episode ends. And that was a moment that really stuck with me. But unfortunately, we gotta go back into the war right
Oh.
after, right in the next episode. I'm just going back to being a little like, duh, whenever just all this goes on. So
Yeah. It's kind of brutal sounding show, huh? I guess
yeah,
that's
it's very
Japanese
brutal. But like you
war,
said, it's also
old history, civil
yeah, it's
wars and
very
stuff.
brutal. But it's also like very impersonal outside the moments with Biwa. So that's like the biggest like obstacle for me. But yeah, I mean, outside of that, I mean, I was kind of worried, but it's just like, and truthfully, it's just like, okay, I didn't like Heike Monogatari. How's that going to truly affect like Kimi no Iro? And it didn't, because I loved it. So
Yeah. So she's kind of back to her kind of comfort zone with this sort of a movie, probably. High schoolers and a band. Back to kind of the K-On! But this is maybe like the best iteration, the best execution of that theme. Do you think she's done so far? Would you agree?
I mean, I can't disagree or agree, because I still
Haven't
haven't
seen
watched
K-On! That's right.
goddamn K-On!
I
That's
The
true.
think
origin point.
I wa- well, actually, it was really funny. The day of me seeing Kimi no Iro, I was watching I was going through some K-On! Episodes, rewatching it like beforehand. I didn't even really think about it until I got out of Kimi no Iro, and I was able to kind of, and like it's interesting, sort of like seeing like the buds of her directing style in K-On! And then you compare it to like Kimi no Iro, it feels like almost like watching like a flower fully blossom into
Oh,
like
Oh
something
yeah.
truly beautiful. Like, not to say like K-On! Isn't beautiful, but it's like you see the beginnings, and then you like see like the current stage, and it's really interesting, I think.
Yeah. You would say her style's definitely matured in the 15. It's been like 15 years now. Yeah,
Yeah.
oh
exactly.
damn.
Yeah.
Oh.
Wow. No. I thought so too. I thought it's really confident, like just very efficient. Just like in K-On! They have the whole time. They have a whole show, to get to know all the characters and introduce you to everyone, and so they kind of have an advantage with this movie. You have 90 or however many minutes, but just very very quickly you get to love all the main characters. You just very brief scenes. She just knows exactly what she's doing, and she just makes these really confident, these super cool layouts. I'm not. I wish I had better vocabulary to describe them, but just like the opening, I remember starts all white, and then you see the colors, and then but just throughout the film, like I just remember these little brief vignettes. How do you say that?
Vignettes. I think
Vignettes.
it's
Yeah.
vignettes.
Vignettes. They just kind of seem disconnected, but they all serve a very clear purpose. And I was like, wow, yeah, she's just she's gotten so good at this. That was kind of my thought in the opening scenes. She knows how to just get it all through in just a few minutes, just 20 minutes. You just knew kind of what were all the characters were, what made them tick, and I was just impressed by that.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was thinking too. I think one thing I really liked, a very specific point in regards to Kimi no Iro, is everything feels important, but it also feels like everyone's allowed to have like room to breathe,
Mm.
in that like you get to see like the people around Totsuko and like Kimi and like Lesso Rui, because he's more like I guess an outsider sort of element
Yeah.
to it, but like
Yeah.
more, but like within like the Catholic sort of school, like the religious school, you can see like that you're able to like get a big look into like the daily life, and the way it's represented, it feels very well. It's obviously important since it's the setting of the film, but the movie makes a good job to make it feel important to the audience, and I think that's that was like really good.
You mean kind of like the setting itself feels like realistically, um, like everyone is an individual, like living a real life,
Yeah,
outside of the main cast, and all the characters kind of feel like they have full lives outside of just the scenes we see them in that kind of a way.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. Like it kind of plays fair, doesn't make anyone very like too one dimensional. We see I mean, just if we see enough of them, we get just a sense of their lives. I like her roommates, her three roommates who just kind of live on the margins of the movie, but they are obviously just they're not they don't seem super into the whole Catholic theme thing. Even they just are just having a good time eating snacks or whatever, talking to
Yeah.
gossiping and playing games. I think the main shoot, what's her name? The main character.
Totsuko, no, don't do her like
Totsuko. She's like the only one we see praying even in this Catholic
Yeah.
school. The other girls don't seem to be quite as devout, at least visibly. I thought that was interesting. I think because I was surprised that's what I didn't expect for it just to have a Catholic school theme, and I thought like at first, is this even set in Japan? But then I was yeah, it's definitely in Japan. And I had to do a little bit of reading on that, and yeah, Japan apparently has a lot of Catholic schools, even though there's like just like 1% of the population, and but I mean, not everyone who goes to these Catholic schools necessarily is like a Catholic, but they do exist as institutions, and they have their nuns, and they have all the trappings, and I was like, whoa, something to learn there. That was cool, yeah.
Yeah, and it like ties into like another thing, which is like with like Yamada, she's very interested in like very specific things because like Tamako Market is the same because it's just like
Yeah.
it's an anime about like this shopping district that's like full of like full of like a bunch of weirdos, and like this weird ass fuck ass bird who comes in and sort of disrupts like that sort of like yeah, he sort of disrupts us first, but like also slowly becomes a part of like the shopping district and sort of like sort of like family vibe that they have going on.
Mm.
And an extension, it goes to like here, like the whole thing about like Catholic and the Catholic schools and Catholicism and stuff like that. Um, and also another thing about like because you like you mentioned like Totsuko is really the only person we see like who's in the cathedral who's always praying, but all the other girls like they definitely from what we see you can tell like they're not fully like fully like religious or like fully like oh like a hardcore devout
Yeah.
Catholic or anything. You can just sort of assume that like oh, they're kind of there because like their parents told them to go there. They don't really fully believe in any of it. They just go to school because they have no choice but to go to school. But I still like that though because like
Yeah.
that just kind of like that kind of feels more like real. Yeah, it feels like more realistic to me in the sense of just like oh, you just have not everyone there is going to fully believe in this religion. They're just kind of there because either their parents sent them there, like there's some other reason that they're there. And even like towards the end of the movie, like where they're having their first concert, it's just like one of the girls is just like, "Hey, isn't that like that girl who's on stage? Isn't she like the one who's always praying all the time?" And like in Totsuko's case, yeah, in
Yeah.
Totsuko's case, she kind of like there's not a lot of like because the movie's not really interested in exploring like the whole like oh like sort of like Catholic or just religious guilt in general, but it's mostly
Yeah.
through Totsuko because like um I don't know the whole prayer by heart, but she's mostly taught like it's the whole Alcoholics Anonymous prayer. I don't know it by heart, but like she's always saying that in the cathedral, where she's always just like, God give me the strength to accept the things I cannot change, and that's related to like with her like her synesthesia. I think I pronounced that correctly. Hopefully, God
I
willing.
think so.
But like, yeah, a part of her that she can't change, but over the course of the movie, she realizes that like, oh, like it's okay if like she realizes the meaning of that prayer, just fully just like I can't change these things, but I know the things I can change. I'm going to do my best foot forward to change those things. And also the whole thing about her accepting her quote unquote weird ability, her synesthesia, because at the start of it, she's keeping that to herself, a thing. Like she's always confessing to in the cathedral, but to everyone else, she keeps it to herself, and that's like a thing that's always like keeping her down.
Mm.
So there's like a reason why Totsuko in particular is the one who's always praying, who has like she's the closest thing to being like sort of like the most Catholic person in that school. But even then, it's not like to like a hardcore degree. You don't every single time you see her, she's not like praying like all
Yeah.
the time, but you do see her in the cathedral every so often. So it's just like at that school, it's just like most of them just don't really give a fuck.
No, I like that it's just kind of the religious aspect is just kind of incidental to the story she wants to tell about
Yeah.
these characters. Just a cool, very specific backdrop to it just feels like she did her homework, you know, just probably like with Tamako Market. She went out and, you know, observed, you know, actually instead of just stereotyping, you know, just based on assumptions or just a vague idea of what it's like. She really, you know, went out and, you know, looked to see how those people lived, or had the imagination, the capacity of imagination to think of how these people would, you know, behave in a realistic way. And that's just a kind of a big draw, I guess, to a lot of Yamada stuff in general, isn't it? Just the level of detail she puts into everyone's lives.
Yeah, a lot of those points. I think the biggest draw to Yamada is that sort of like very personal sort of direction, and like she does her research and like trying to like depict like what she's exactly directing. Like you mentioned Tamako Market as an example with that. It's very good at like being able to like kind of going back to what I say, making like everyone believable. And I think that her avoiding full stereotypes and simply letting these characters feel like people, yeah, it works really well.
Just let them live out their life. She gives them, I think you said like space. She just gives them space to feel like
Yeah.
well-rounded people. You know, she doesn't simplify them to, well, cartoon characters.
Yeah, the worst thing you can
sense.
be.
Yeah. You know, even though I don't like saying it that way, but that's the way it often is. What you guys I didn't know that instrument. I'd never seen that instrument that you just
the
like wave your
theremin.
hands. What did you call it?
The theremin.
The theremin. Never heard of it, never had seen it to my recollection. And I was cool. I was like, whoa, what is this? I was trying to figure out is that like a real thing, or is it just like some made up anime? No. For a second, I really was stupid, but no, it's true.
I think the first time I had really heard of it was that one Smiling Friends episode that got like that like they had like that clip of like them in like the alien thing. It was like from Comic-Con, and they used a theremin in that episode, and I was like, that is a pretty cool instrument. And but it kind of sat in the back of my mind until I saw this movie, and I'm like, that's the instrument.
Wow.
With me, it's just because you hear like the theremin whenever like some show or like anything is just like talking about like aliens, you will always hear that sort of like or something like that.
Oh.
And, like for the longest time, I thought it was like a synth. I didn't think it was like that thing where you're just literally manipulating and controlling air. It's like when I actually looked up, like one day I just got bored. I looked up like alien synth, and then the first thing that came up was the theremin. I saw it for the first time. I was like, whoa, okay, that is like weird.
Wow.
And like in the case of Rudy, it's like his whole deal is like he's like the weirdest of like the trio. From when you first see him for the first time, like you see her like from Kimi's point of view, and he looks all like well cool and mysterious and suave, and he is the oldest out of the three.
Yeah.
And like worst case scenario, obviously this movie wouldn't do that because it's not interested in that. But like literally, I feel like any other anime would turn into like some some god awful love triangle. But like
Mm-hmm.
nah, once you get to really know Rudy, it's just like he's just like again. Because this whole movie's interested in very specific things. Rudy is also interested in like the most specific stuff, like the theremin, or like other like just like recording his own voice, trying to modulate it, other stuff like that. Um,
Oh, I loved well, yeah, you're right. The theremin does look like an alien kind of instrument an alien would come up with.
it just look
Not to
real,
mention,
yeah.
but just like how awkward, just how specific he is. He's just like a very nerdy kind of
Yeah, yep.
guy. Really lovable. They're just very genuine. That's he just his genuineness comes across. He they just put that across really well. And he doesn't. You can tell. He doesn't have like a evil bone in. I don't know.
Oh no.
He's such a just a nice real guy. Anime has a you don't often get like appealing nice guys in anime. They're always kind of obnoxious in some way a lot, or kind of whiny or something. But I loved this guy. I love how they got how the friendship started. Just like an awkward thing that Totsuko blurted out. We got to start a band. We got and she just just totally popped into her head. But like they allowed them to be both genuine and awkward and not in an
Yeah.
embarrassing kind of way. And well, it was kind of a little bit embarrassing, but just sympathetic. It was just totally sympathetic to them. It didn't judge any of the characters. Just let them be themselves. And none of the characters seem to judge each other too. It's just so good-hearted, and I
Oh yeah.
really like that. Yamada, she's so much sympathy for her characters all the time, even if they're not as fleshed out as the other. She always, that's one thing that's kind of consistent. She always has complete sympathy with her cast, and that's something I love about her work.
I mean, it's ironic, and the movie all about religion, and like on paper should be all about judgment. Like
Mm-hmm.
with all the other characters, like you said, there's like there's little to no zero judgment like at all. With
Yeah.
like the biggest moment being like Sister Hyoko like talking to Kimi and asking like she knows obviously that she dropped out halfway through, so and she's asking like it's less she's asking why did you drop out. It's more among the lines of just like it's perfectly okay that you dropped out. And I think she phrased it as just like some people like everyone graduated. Everyone graduates eventually. You decide to graduate from it just a little bit earlier. So like even with that specific character, her faith, we get like it's not like a specific subplot, but like in that one line, you can kind of tell like at her moments, her faith in like some higher power is being questioned as well. Would she graduate eventually
Mm.
too? But again, it's a line, as I said, with like zero judgment, zero drama. It's just like this wasn't just. It's like this wasn't for you, and you realize that at an earlier age. Like that's good for you, and like you seem like you're doing fine. Again,
Yeah.
than like some other movie more invested in its drama, that would be a point of contention. Like Sister Hiyoko will probably be like a more like antagonistic figure, like probably grilling Kimi's ass for dropping out in the first place. But it's just like no, like you said, everyone's really kind, zero judgment at all. Like there is like the thing is that prevents it from feeling like too overly saccharine or too like tweez the fact that like there is like a little bit of friction, but like
Yeah.
there's still like conflict and there's still consequences, but like in the grand scheme of things the consequences are so minor because it's just like in the movie, like in the part of the movie, like Kimi sneaks back into the dorms to meet with Totsuko for a little like girls night out and also to like work on the songs, but they get caught, and as a result they get like a month of community service and
Yeah,
a heck
just
of
like
a
the
policy
mildest
levy.
slap in the wrist. Everyone in the movie is so nice. Even like the authority figures, everyone's just super. I mean, there's nuns for heaven's sake. There's no cheap drama. They never like the thing you dread most is I guess Kimi's grandmother.
Yeah.
Getting upset at her, but you never see. I mean, if the movie just goes out of its way to avoid big, yelling or crying or emotional, grueling scenes like that. It just kind of stays, although it kind of maybe implies them, but it kind of shows what it's interested in is just the friendship between the three main characters and just the good times they spend together, the times that they'll remember, as the best time of their youth and that kind of thing. Like K-On! If you see K-On!, that's kind of what K-On!'s
God.
about.
It's happening again.
Sorry,
like
buddy.
again, I had a convo with another friend. It's just like, oh, have you seen K-On!? No. Well, I'm just gonna mention K-On! like a billion times throughout our conversations. Like, okay.
Sorry, I had to throw that in.
That's cool. It's cool. It's just like reminding me I need to watch that damn show already.
You should. It's a good show, actually. Oh man, what else is there to cover about this movie? Beautiful
The
animation.
songs.
It's a song.
Sorry.
Oh yeah, the songs.
Sorry.
No.
Sorry, I forgot. No, I forgot. Like, oh right, we're an animation podcast. I'm sorry.
Oh,
Yes,
I don't know.
the
I don't know. I don't know what to say. You got a good eye for animation, Amicus. What do you think?
I think one of the big things that stood out to me was not specifically the animation, but the character designs. Were they're like kind of like almost like my idealized like anime character designs. Like they're so perfect. They're like very perfect to me in a way. I think especially Totsuko. Totsuko is just like the cutest thing like ever.
She is though.
She is. She's like just very. It doesn't feel like she's like idealized in like a lot of ways. Other like anime would typically like make like their girl characters. She just feels like a regular girl, and I think
Yeah.
that's a very like it's a very like good thing to have, I think, because it's just like she's not even like skinny. She's just very normal, and
Yeah.
I think that normalness almost feels like a rarity in like a certain extent. And like just everyone is just so like all the designs are just so beautiful. And in terms of how they adapted it to animation, it's not like a movie where specifically everything moves, but like everything moves with such like precision and like fine detail that it really feels alive and
Yeah.
like living.
Yeah. They feel like they move the way the characters, the animators kind of inhabit the characters. Maybe you would say they don't the designs are not pushed, like in a super cartoony or exaggerated way. They're very kind of on the realistic end of the spectrum, probably, but not in an ugly way, and they still have a ton of appeal. And you would say maybe they just, I think Gollum once said something like Totsuko, maybe he didn't say this exactly, but like the character would never move in a way that, or like I think he said about Tamako never moves in a way that Tamako wouldn't move.
Yeah, exactly. I think that like works, that like is something you could say about like a lot of the characters in this movie. They move like the way you'd expect them to.
Yeah.
Yeah. And like in the rare moment where like character does sort of move like another character, it's like towards the end where like you see Sister Hiyoko like doing a little ballet, and you also see Totsuko also doing a similar similar amateur ballet when she gets really happy. So like when it does happen, it's for a very specific and narrative reason.
Yeah.
But also it's very interesting like when you said like, oh, this is how my ideal anime looks, and now I'm thinking like, what would my ideal anime look like? But anyways, yeah, when it
Kyosuke,
comes to
right?
the design points, oh yeah, it's like 8%, 85% Kyosugiga. You gotta throw in some Kai Igarashi, some Osamu Kobayashi. Like 85% Kyosugiga, with like the rest of it just being like a bunch of different stuff that I like. But yes.
So that's the closest. Yeah.
That's the closest. That's the closest. Rie Matsumoto, where are you? Anyways,
Oh no.
yeah. About like the designs, because they're they're done by Takashi Kojima, which is relevant to you, IBCF, because he was a character designer for Flip Flappers, but he also did character designs for like another Science Starter project called Ride Your Wave, which is like one of my favorite anime movies ever.
Oh, he did
And
Flip Flappers?
yeah, the character design, like, cause yeah, character designs for Flip Flappers. Yeah.
No way. I I mean, I wasn't a super huge fan of the Flip Flappers designs. I would have rather Oshiyama himself
Yeah.
design, but I never I know, or maybe Yamada, kind of wanted a certain thing out of him because I loved the characters here. And Ride Your Wave, I haven't I've seen bits of that. But mostly I just kind of think, I wish, Yuasa
Oh
was
yeah.
doing something better. But no, this, yeah, I mean, I guess they're just a perfect match to Yamada and, what's the name again?
Takashi Kojima. He also
Kojima.
designed for like Heike too, which I'm kind of surprised. This is like not necessarily a weird collaboration, but it was like the last two names I expected to like work with each other. But like, yeah, they really are a killer combo. I'm really looking forward to see what they do further in the future. But like, I feel like obviously Yamada and Horiguchi, they're like the duo because I know like the contexts are vastly different, but like still with like Horiguchi, the thing that like appeals to me the most because I like sort of like all that organic asymmetrical feeling in character designs. Like Horiguchi has like that feeling like all of her drawings just feel so loose and organic, even when like the moment doesn't necessarily call for it. It's not just like full on like raw tunage, but it's just like, oh, these
Mm.
characters are just, standing around talking, but just like there's like some asymmetry like in their chins or like in their hands, or their hands are like blobby, and like their anatomy in general is just like really blobby. That's why I mean like sort of like natural and organic designs in general. And with
Yeah.
Takashi Kojima, it's just like a completely different route entirely. And it's funny to me because like everyone sees Science Saru as just like, oh, the radical like sort of rebels of the anime industry, and like the similar way how people like will talk about like Trigger back like in the early like 2010s. But like to me, I feel like she was already kind of at like her most like raw and organic like during like the Horiguchi era with like Tamako Market and Love Story, and
Yeah.
I would say K-On! If I watched K-On!, but like
Okay,
from,
on
from the
season,
screen
yeah,
cap.
sorry to do it again, but K on season one, that's probably the loosest Horiguchi's ever gotten at KyoAni, probably.
Definitely, I'd
It's
say.
super loose. Like even compared to like Nichijou, it's loose. It's surprising to compare it. And then K on season two is like the opposite almost, even though it's still Horiguchi. It's weird, but I think that's kind of the direction Yamada was moving in, a lot more
Yeah, this is sort of
restrained
like,
kind of.
yeah, the natural, like this is kind of like the natural endpoint of, even though it's still like present in other stuff like with Liz with like the whole like flatter character designs. But this is sort of like the endpoint of that with like Kimi no Iro. But again, it's just
Yeah.
funny to me because like this is supposed to be seen as like the radical rebel studio, but like this is probably just like, I still like her design sense a lot naturally, of course, but like this is probably like, I conventional doesn't feel like the right word, but like compared to like her earlier stuff with like Horiguchi, it definitely doesn't feel as radical, but it's still good, obviously.
Yeah.
I still like how everyone moves. I love like Rui's like weird ass like design sense.
Yeah.
And like on
Yeah.
a concert, he's just like decked out in this weird like Prince outfit. It's just like, damn, dude, you are
I
really
love
feeling yourself right now.
I love that though. I love his outfit. That was awesome. Because it was like a
Yeah.
pink jacket or whatever. Of course,
With
I
the
like anything in a
frills
pink
too.
jacket.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know me. But yeah, no, it's naturalistic. It's surprising that still that he was the Flip Flappers guy, because I remember the Flip Flappers designs being pretty generic anime kind of angular even, just more kind of inexpressive, not like naturalistic in the way this is. And this is the total very expressive and naturalistic.
Yeah.
Is like miles away from Flip Flappers. So I don't know what Oshiyama was telling Kojima to do. I don't
You
know what.
gotta draw everyone with like the biggest eyes possible.
I
Like
know, I
big.
know.
I'm talking like full on like honkers.
I know.
Full on
We're gonna go
lookers.
the full mainstream anime. Like 1,000%. Whereas this is I like a lot better, even though it's like less quote unquote cartoony in a lot of ways. It's much preferable to me because it's a lot more expressive. I think that's a great thing about the designs. They're a lot more organic, a lot more just they have a lot of capacity for expression, I would say, even though they're so realistic, more naturalistic, but not naturalistic to the point of it kind of inhibits personality.
Again, it ties back to the whole like, the specificity thing, because like, okay, because you're seeing these characters. Of course, it's like the concert stuff, but also you have like characters playing like the theremin. You got like a character who's a ballerina or was a former ballerina and stuff like that, and like all the minute details that go into like doing a performance in the first place. So that's like another thing, like the range, because you're putting in the hands of like someone like Yamada, who's just kind of interested in just like, I don't want to say she's interested in everything, but she's like interested in just like a lot of different. The movie's just like very eclectic, and
Yeah.
that's what I love about it the most. And like when that eclecticism is channeled to like very specific scenes, that's when I'm truly blown away. Because like my favorite scene was just like the scene, because like we were just talking about it for the first time. It's just like the scene where they're in an abandoned church in the middle of a snowstorm, and one of the characters is playing a remix of Giselle on his theremin, while you have Totsuko clumsily dancing along with like her like in like her sort of like she's trying, but it's sort of like amateur ballet routine,
Yeah.
and you have me just watching. It's just like, where else are you going to find that?
Nowhere but
All
a
of it is
Yamada
channeled
film.
exactly. So like
Yeah.
for you guys, like what was your favorite moments too?
Well, mine's actually pretty similar. It's also related to Giselle, but after the concert, just her, it works well. Like as a companion piece to that other scene earlier in the
Yeah.
movie, because you see like it's like her whole routine has sort of come back to her in a sense, and as like the song is playing, it's just it swirls around, and then at one point
Mhm.
when she like reaches her hand up to the sun and she finally sees her own color that she's been like sort of
Yeah.
looking for, like that was like I genuinely like started crying in the theater.
Oh.
Wait. Sorry to change it to another question, but like, how was like the audience for you? Like, how was like, did you guys have like, was it just like you, or like, did you guys have like a decent amount of people in your theater? Because for me, I surprisingly had like for like this movie, I surprisingly had like a pretty decent turnout. I was expecting like what 2 or 3 people, but like there was like at least up to like 10 or 12. There
Wow.
was like way more than I was expecting, but like from the sound of it, the second start people started leaving and started talking about the movie, they didn't like it. I think they were just I remember a lot of them talking about like Kensuke Ushio. I was like, oh, you see that? That's Kensuke Ushio. He did the OST for Chainsaw Man. It's like,
Oh
that's the
man.
audience. That's the audience we're
um
dealing with here.
it actually for me it was I went with my dad, and like
Oh wow.
the audience was like closer to that, like I think it was like 8 or 9 people total.
Mm.
um I think the reception was a little bit kinder at my showing. My my dad, who normally isn't like into like these kind of movies, it's not like it really clicked with him specifically, but he said he enjoyed it, which was kind of nice because it's definitely way out of his like um
Not his
uh,
bag. Exactly.
yeah. um but I think, but like overall it seemed like a lot of people who did see it like had a good experience with it. But that is really amusing that you mentioned that, because I decided after I saw the movie I was going to search up like reviews, because I was like, "Oh, I wonder what other people like outside of like the Sakuga circles like had to say about it." And I
Mm.
was surprised to see so many like 5 to like 7 out of 10s like did like
Aw.
I was like, I felt like I was going insane for a second, because it was like, no way.
Oh man. Well, not everyone understands genius, you know.
No one understands genius.
Well,
Main
that's sort of the downside to this. If you're like if you're a person who's interested in very specific things and you want to make a movie about this very specific thing or things, it's going to be targeted at a very specific audience. It's like, but you could probably very much tell if like this movie is going to be for you or for not, just by reading a couple of reviews or watching the PVs. Because like the big thing is just like it's just so like low key and like that, and that's usually how I like like my media in general. I like
Yeah.
a lot of low key, naturalistic stuff. Like shit, like Osamu Kobayashi is like one of my favorite directors ever. And also
Hmm.
a lot of the stuff that I watch is usually about like oh fantastical characters interacting in a very like low key and grounded way, and the entire thing is just like navigating that contrast. And again, with the colors within, is just oh no. Kimi no Iro.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah. It's just very, again, it's not low key to the point where things don't matter, and it's not like the way of just like everyone's just cool with everything, but everyone's still really kind and understanding to each other. Like when you say something is cute, there's like that air of like dismissiveness to it.
Yeah.
But like I can call Kimi no Iro cute and fully mean that because it's genuinely such a sweet movie. I'm not being dismissive or saying like, oh, that was mildly amusing. I legitimately think it's a cute and fun and sweet movie and a very sweet atmosphere, loving
Yeah.
atmosphere to be in, just sitting for just like 2 hours and like really cherish it too.
Yeah, cute in
Yeah.
a wholesome way. I mean, they couldn't find nicer people. Just a bunch of Catholic school kids and Catholic school adjacent kids. I mean, they're not like exactly rebel punks or anything. They know the most rebellious thing anyone does is drop out. But that's, I mean, it's not. She doesn't go
And
out
even
and do
then,
drugs or anything. She doesn't do the. She just wants to play in a band with her friends. That's the craziest she gets. And then, I mean, it's no big dramatic fights or anything for a person who looks for that in movies, which I don't really understand that kind of person, but it probably wouldn't do much for someone who wants their movies all with a big fight or a big explosion.
Like melodramatic.
Yeah, melodrama, like Dezaki or something. Yeah.
I mean, the Zaki stuff can be fun without like the dramatics and stuff. Like if you can
Yeah.
get like really insane with your drama, like sure, I'm seated, but like I'm not really there for that like most of the time. So
Yeah.
Yeah. I
Mm.
kind of like Jizaki when he's more like doing like something like Space Cobra where it's like it's dramatic but it's it's not like completely like serious. It's like it's really fun. It's like more action cartoony in a sense.
Mm.
But that's yeah, like if you're watching Kimi no Iro expecting like, oh, there's gonna be some big like melodrama thing, like that's not what the movie's gonna give you.
No, not at all.
not at all. Yeah,
Which is great for me. Yeah, I hate that stuff.
Same.
I loved it. I mean, I loved it too. Like shit.
Yeah.
There's a time and place for it, I'd say, and like sometimes it's good, sometimes I just don't really care for it, and like Kimi no Iro really appeals to like just like they're really just so nice to each other. It's
Yeah.
Yeah. I
sometimes you really need that.
yeah. There is kind
Especially
of
now.
oh yeah. Some comfort food kind of a film. There is kind of a feeling of the layer of realism kind of to it, like just a fragility to their friendship. Like it just feels like things are trying to constantly get in the way of just the simplest thing they want to do is just form a band, get close to each other, have a good time. And it does feel like all of life's obligations and responsibilities like might threaten to drive them apart. I don't know, like just like the way they meet is just purely by chance. She has to go out of her way to find Kimi Totsuko. At the beginning, she follows a cat. That's like the only convenient little plot point when she just follows a cat into the bookstore.
Yeah.
But I thought it was forgivable because she just needs a little bit of magical realism or something like that. That was cool. Yeah, like that one night, they couldn't even spend like one night together in their room just having a good time. It's like everyone should be able to just live life to the fullest like that, especially if you're a kid. But just for this or that reason, things rules or adults or obligations, they just are like, no, you can't do that. But that spoke to me a lot. But yeah, like it feels precious, it just highlighted how precious it is to be able to live a full youth, or just a whole just live like that at all, whatever age you are.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. That was like a really good way to put it. Ah, yeah. Precious, precious. I'm really gonna be God,
Oh
what a precious little movie.
yeah. The sound, I wanted to talk about the sound because you see
Yeah.
Liz, and this definitely continued that great sound design, the great foley, whatever they call that, the great, just the footsteps, just kind of they kind of felt rhythmic at times almost, or just super observed. I'm trying to remember now. It's all kind of escaping my head. It's been a bit since I've seen it. Just like specific moments, like, oh man, the sound design was so good. Do you remember anything that I can't?
Oh, like I don't think I remember anything at you because like you mentioned like all the footsteps and the rhythmic like sort of storyboarding. Cause like that's the first thing that jumped out to me because it's the first thing you see in the one of the first things you see in the movie is just like I forgot which one it was because I know it's about I know they're named like Mizore and Nozomi, but I forgot which one was who because it's been so long since I've watched it. But like you see them, like you see one of them waiting for each other on the steps. Then
Yeah.
you like hear matching up with their footsteps. But the coolest thing is just like it's not consistent the entire way through. You
Yeah.
hear like their footsteps getting out of sync from time to time, but they go back in sync together, which is that's a really cool thing because most of the time we think like, oh, rhythmic storyboarding is sort of be like animation or anything like that. It's just gonna be like it's gonna be this character who's always on beat 100% of the time, and when they fall off of a beat, it's usually like, oh, that they're just like, oh, that whatever scene's going on with that specific track, oh, it's like either over or they're interrupting it as a gag. But like, not a lot of people I can't think of anyone who just like, oh, they're sort of out of sync for a little bit, but they'll get back in, but then they'll fall back out to show like their ever changing relationship, which is like a really cool thing to me. That's the first thing that jumped out to me with Liz. But with like Kimi no Iro, I mean the biggest things for me is just I like the three songs at the end of it. I love those a lot.
Yeah.
Especially like Kimi's song, but of course Totsuko's song because like you hear it in all the PVs, so like it's naturally gonna stick. It already got stuck in my head. I was singing along in the theater, even though I didn't watch the movie before it. I had to like really. It's the most like really. It's like I don't want to do this to him because I love my little son, but his song is probably the least memorable to me. But at the end of the day, it's like a song with like a theremin in the background. So like
Yeah.
it's still a pretty it's still a pretty like a unique and sounding song. But like outside of that, I can't really say like the OST in general for Kimi no Iro grabbed me in particular. Which is like it's a little bit of a shame. It's a little bit of a shame. But like those three songs, like they're like lodged into my brain for the rest of my life. But outside of that.
I think the sound design is like was like definitely one of the big like things for me in Kimi no Iro. But also like the soundtrack was pretty good. I'd say those three songs are definitely the highlights, but I also think like the remix of Gazelle,
On the
the
theremin,
Gazelle song,
right?
yeah, that remix specifically like really worked for me because of the way you hear like more of the instruments come in alongside the theremin. It was like you can almost sort of it almost felt like a really good representative way of like depicting their friendship in a sense because it's like at first it's just Rui and then but then as the movie goes it's Kimi and Totsuko and then it just turns into this wonderful melody of the three instruments playing together.
Yeah, I liked. I mean, the whole culmination of the movie was showing how all their experiences led to those songs. Basically, the songs were. I loved how it showed the creative process. Definitely a real, true to life kind of way of showing how all the just them sitting around in a church, just kind of fiddling with their instruments. That showed how real songs, I assume, come about in a very organic kind of way. I liked. I think I dragged a friend. I was just me and my friend who I dragged along, and one other guy in the theater when I saw it, and my friend wasn't the kind of guy who's into this kind of movie, but it was actually the songs at the end that finally won him over, especially Totsuko's song. So I'm glad. Yeah. So it must have been a really good song if even he was convinced. So yeah, no, it was great. No, and then it just feels like the applause. I liked at the very beginning, they barely get any applause, and no one recognizes them. And after the first song, they just feel like realistically earned the feedback to each of the And then by the last song, that's Tosako's song, right? The last one,
Yeah.
the orbit of the planets and everything. That's when the nuns start dancing and everything is great. No, that really is the showstopper. And they were, had a good instinct for, Yamada had a good instinct for knowing which song would be the showstopper.
Yeah.
Yep.
And no, she was right. It got everyone on board.
Yeah, I think for me the real showstopper was Kimi's song, was the second song, because like Totsuko is memorable to me because I heard it in all those goddamn PVs, so like it was inevitable. But the thing like Kimi's song is just like, I was just like I like when it comes to me in like movies or just like media in general, I don't really cry that easily. But there are moments where I say like, oh, if I cried to stuff easily, I would cry to this. That was probably like that probably wouldn't be like one of the moments where it's just like I like this like that's probably because like she has like when she's singing, she has like all this sort of non-diegetic imagery compared to like everyone else, where it's just like, oh, it's just like, oh, there's just like they're still firmly set in the gym. But like with Kimi, you see like these random images of like nature, of like flowers blooming, of like dead trees, and she's just sort of like it's sort of like this outlawed, like she's like monologuing out loud about what to do, about her future, her uncertainty towards the future.
Yeah.
And that resonated with me because it's just like I feel very uncertain about a lot of things in my life, and by extension I just feel very uncertain about the state of the world in general. So
Yeah.
and there's no real like answer to that at the end of the song. But the real showstopper to me was just when the song ends and like Kimi gets off of she stops playing, but like she goes to the speaker and like she lets like her guitar like the distortion from her guitar like reverberate throughout the entire gym. It's just like whoa, because I can't really think of like another anime that ever did anything like that. If you know an anime like that, please let me the fuck know. But like yeah, again, very interested in very specific things, and you see that and you see that on screen too, and like it actually means something.
Yeah.
I was just like when that happened, I was just like I was with the audience. I was like my jaw was on the floor too. And it's funny because like you did briefly mention that like oh they're not very like punk rock kids, but like in a sense, I still feel like just letting your guitar like go to the speaker and just like the guitar distortion and reverb like play throughout the entire like venue you're playing at. I don't know. That feels very like punk to me.
Yeah. No.
And when you think Naoko Yamada, you're definitely not thinking punk. But I don't know. Again, when you're interested in very specific things, you get like these very specific moments, and you think about like, can I find that anywhere else? No, I can't.
Yeah. Absolutely. I mean, she is raw. It's kind of funny. Just they did a great job with the song order too. The kids. Rui is his song just kind of very eclectic, kind of weird. It doesn't really connect, but you does show that these kids are definitely maybe not they're actually out of the box. They definitely think out of the box. And then Kimi just gets into a very raw and emotional. It moves everyone, and you can see all her pain, all her heartache. That she put into that thing. Come out finally, and then finally Totsuko, she kind of all the catharsis, it's just a relief from all that raw emotion, and then it puts everyone into a celebratory mood, and great way to end it all. It was a good lineup they had there, those guys. Great concert for them. They definitely knew what they were doing.
I mean, of course they know what they were doing. It's Naoko fucking Yamada. Who else do you think this is?
I don't know. I'm just thinking, imagining it from like the in-universe perspective of the kids.
What a cool! Like the thing is like as I said before, it's a very cute movie, but it's also very cool too. It's very cool too. It's cute and cool. The two most important things for a movie to be.
Yes.
You have to be cool. You have to be cool. Not Absolutely. Be one or the other. I will get bored. If you do both at the same time, I'm blocked in.
Yeah, I mean, punk. Like, I guess you could say, raw and true emotion is just the heart of punk, right? So that's. I mean, even if it's a Catholic school concert, it still counts as punk, right? Kimi's song, definitely. She's like a regular John Lennon there,
Yeah. So, what else? I'm trying to think because, like, because we briefly talked about like the animation. It's just like it's one of those cases where just like I can earnestly very say that like, oh my god, this movie is so pretty. I'm not like going full into this or whatever. Also because like we can't rewatch the movie because it's not on Blu-ray yet,
Yeah.
so we can't watch very specific clips. But like in the moment, it's just like so like I'm not really like I'm not fully Sakuga brained or anything because
Hmm.
like the closest thing I could like identify for like I like anime IDs would be like Shinji Hashimoto doing like the Ohira style animator. He did like the opening scene where it's just like Totsuko talking about her synesthesia and he's just like being represented as like all these not paintings because he mentioned he used like colored pencil stuff like
Hmm.
that. It really jumped out to me because like oh duh, of course he's going to animate in that style. But outside of that, I kind of struggle to like find like specific moments, and I just like the film as a package overall.
Yeah.
Just very unified. I obviously it's not like completely erased of like animator quirks or anything. If I had like the full like key anime list on me, I could have like connected to some names. Like there definitely are some moments where it, like jump out to me more often than the other. But it's like the whole package is like pretty great as expected. So I'm not gonna be
Yeah.
like, oh, this scene is totally done by like X, Y, and Z. I'm just in there like, oh my god, this movie's so fucking pretty.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure there was maybe some scenes that were recognizable, but I have no idea what they were. I don't have the eye for that either.
I
But I mean, I was never. I always thought this, every scene looked good. I mean, it did exactly what its job was for a film like this, which is it's all about the characters and getting the characters believably across. And you don't necessarily want the animation to totally stick out, in one way or the other, and kind of take you out of the very, kind of realistic, naturalist experience the characters are having. You just kind of want the characters to keep moving believably, and act believably. And I think that was
Mhm.
kind of the first priority there. And in that regard, the movie did its job great. And the backgrounds are always beautiful. The design always felt beautiful. I never felt dissatisfied with. I never thought, oh, that scene not as good. It was always beautiful. It was always just quite nicely done. Any thoughts on that, Amicus? Did you notice any particular
Um,
cuts that really stood out to you throughout the film, or
um, well, well, the Hashimoto scene that was one. I can't really. The first ballet scene was
mm,
really good, where she's like watching the the teacher or like the young or like the older student. I wasn't entirely sure, but like in like the sort of flashback where she's watching the dancer, and like you could sort of see like the color come in. That was like one of the cuts I really liked. There's a lot of like the scenes of them like actually like playing worked really well. Were like really good for
yeah,
me. And one particular cut that really stood out to me was just the scene of Totsuko sort of going through the hallways singing the song that she's working on to herself. And
yeah,
she's like
Yeah,
sort of skipping through like
yeah.
that one was really good.
That scene's actually credited. It's by Naoki Kobayashi, who's like he mostly works in the movie space now, but he used to do like a bunch of work on Naruto. Also like he's sort of in this weird like realist phase where he like his work is like very heavily referenced, and like I'm sure that's like one of the scenes where like it's either like very heavily referenced. I'm not sure it's full. I'm pretty sure it's not like full on rotoscoped, but yeah, that's another like very memorable scene, and like also
mm,
just like that's another like true to life scene. It was just like I'm not trying to be like a ballerina if I really like a song, but like if I really get into a song, I'm gonna be like jumping around. And no one's obviously if I'm home alone, if I really like a song, I'm gonna blast that shit. I'm gonna like jump around and like definitely not be sitting down. I'll be singing it out loud. Dance like nobody's watching.
yeah.
True.
That's kind of her whole character. Always dancing like nobody's watching. Just even when she talks, even when people are watching, even when she's right in front of people. That's kind of her like philosophy to life. It seems like, and it works out for her.
Yeah, it's a real great philosophy to life.
Yeah. No,
Yeah,
she's just very endearing.
Kobayashi. I recognized that name when you mentioned it. I definitely the Naruto stuff kind of came to mind first. But yeah, that scene was just like so good.
Yeah, no, I remember that now. Now that I see the clip. Yeah. No, the animation was always on point. I would say that's one of the phrases you can always just pull out. On point.
Yeah, on point.
Yeah, yeah. And then just end it there, like as if that actually means anything. What do we know what Yamada has next in store? Is there been any announcements for what she's up to further down the line? She's gonna stay at Science Saru for the time being, I imagine.
Well,
Yeah.
actually, she's freelance. She can go and do whatever she wants,
Oh
but she'll
yeah.
probably have like she has like a presence at Saru. She even mentioned like working on Kimi no Hero. She was working mostly remote, so like she's not like
Oh.
fully entrenched within like Science Saru, but like I'm sure she's gonna like continue like directing like shows or movies there. But she's going to be doing an opening for the reboot of Anne of Green Gables.
Oh
So because
yeah.
everything's getting rebooted. So
I really want to watch the opening, but I don't want to like watch the show itself.
valid, completely valid. You're just
Yeah.
in it for the opening. Just like, what do you mean there's 24 minutes attached to this? I don't give a fuck.
True.
But yeah, I'm sure she'll do stuff at Saru, but like she can go wherever she wants. I'm pretty sure she even mentioned that like she wants to direct an episode of Doraemon in some random interview.
Oh yeah, she mentioned that she really like someone, I think even in that same interview they mentioned like oh, you want to do a movie for Doraemon? She's like, no, I want to work on an episode.
I'm like, yes,
Oh, get in the trenches. But
yeah.
she's going way back to her roots though for that. Yeah. Back to KyoAni's. I mean, that's where they all started. I mean, she probably did in betweens for Doraemon at one point, didn't she? For all we know.
Perhaps.
Yeah.
Man.
Maybe, or finishing animation or something. You
know. Yeah, I think it's cool that she wants to still stick with TV anime because like TV anime is such a weird hellscape these days. You will have like the coolest shit you are ever going to see in your life, but you also have like 500 shows that are like always dying at all times. But like you have like a one or two shows that are just like stealing everything. I feel like.
True.
So it's cool. It's cool that she wants to do stuff for like she wants to do more stuff for TV and keep that space still like still very like interesting. Yeah, interesting and varied and like injected with life because like these days I feel like everything's like channeled just like big. It's mostly just big name show and stuff. It's just everything's just channeled into that, and very rarely you get anything outside of that because like we already know that originals are already like a huge rarity. If they're actually gonna be good, that's even rarer. And other adaptations that aren't like shown and stuff are usually just like thrown to the wayside, or like they might get lucky. They might get someone. You might get like a really like quirky or like director who's like really motivated to do something. But outside of that, yeah. So I mean, obviously, anyone who wants to keep the TV anime space healthy and like with a pulse, like I'm down for that. So I'm very interested. I'm very like interested in her doing more stuff for TV in particular. So I'm really like glad to hear. I'm really glad you specified on Amicus because like she wants to specifically work on TV. Like that's great. Just keep it that way.
Yeah. It's kind of a bleak time. Seems to be lately. But that's kind of what makes movies like this kind of so remarkable right now. Very much the exception probably these days. This is like a totally original movie, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
That's right. Yeah.
I thought at first I thought it was based off like a manga or something, but no, the manga came after the movie, so I was like pleasantly surprised. But yeah, everything about the movie is like original, and like I think the manga adaptation was just made to like promote the movie itself.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Doremi wrote. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, specifically the Doremi.
Yeah, that's right. That's where it all started. That show, 1999.
I mean, I was gonna say that like I would like her to see I would like her to see like to do like some kind of like magical girl thing, but like Tamako Market kind of sort of very loosely was that. It was, I think, in the early stages it was supposed to be something more straightforward magical girl like.
Oh really?
But like, yeah, And like Data, the fat ass bird, the fat ass talking bird, is sort of like the remnants of that original pitch.
Oh
I imagine he
yeah.
was probably like the mascot character.
It does
And he was
seem kind of weird that he's in there, doesn't it? He does feel a little bit out of place as the show ended up turning, doesn't he?
I mean, it's kind of like the fun of it, though. You got like this, like again, like you have like a mix. Like you got like this big bird and like this very like modern, still slightly like sort of like out of line because you got like this whole cast full of weirdos. So like it makes sense that like you have this whole cast of weirdos attracting this weirdo bird. But eventually he sort of I like towards the end of the series he just sort of becomes like a natural part of like the shopping district. It's like past
Yeah.
beyond the point where it's like, oh my gosh, a talking bird. It's just like, hey, what's up?
Yeah.
Can you like do this for me? Can you like deliver this for me? Like, yeah, just like
He's
a
just a
talking bird.
fixture.
Just like,
Yeah.
yeah, he's just a part of the setting now.
No, that's right. That's true. Yeah, they kind of didn't do much with him in the movie though. They kind of got him completely out of the
Oh
way for that.
yeah,
They
yeah.
just knocked him. He was like, yeah, the intro is like hi, and then it was goodbye.
Because like with Tamako Love Story, he's just like contained to like a 5 minute short at the start. I think even Tamerlane compared it to like a Pixar movie having like the Pixar short before the actual movie.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah, I mean, I like Dara though. I really thought he was gonna be annoying when I first started Tamako. When I first started Tamako, but like now he grew on me. And by extension, he just sort of grows on everybody else in the setting too. So like, yeah, he's
Yeah.
a cool little funky bird.
Yeah. He lets cartoony stuff happen. He kind of no. I can't say I dislike cartoon birds. So
That's like your
yeah,
whole thing.
that is kind of my whole thing actually. You're right. You're right. Did you saw Tamako Love Story or the any Tamako, right, Amicus?
No, I
Oh,
actually
you
have
you
not.
didn't. Oh, sorry.
Nah, but it's okay. I have that on like the watch list.
Oh
The
yeah,
backlog,
yeah.
the endless
The
hole that is the backlog.
Oh
but
no, yeah.
I
Tell me
have
about it.
seen I have seen like the opening and stuff, and it definitely seems like a show that would be up my speed in a way. So I'd definitely down for watching it at some point. Um, just gotta
Yeah.
find the just gotta find the good release.
Oh, the pain of
I don't even. Sometimes like sometimes I care. Sometimes I care. Sometimes I don't. Just like if I whatever release I end up with, I'm like, fuck it, man. I'm just gonna watch it. I don't know. For some strange reason, I was trying to get screen caps of Tamako Love Story, but like for some reason the rip that I downloaded just had Chinese subs, which is
oh
very
no.
strange because I swore I watched the movie subbed, so I don't know what happened there. But
Huh.
Maybe it
yeah,
was like
Tamako Love. Hmm?
maybe it's like a different subtrack or something.
I checked the subtracks. It just said Chinese. So it's just like, what?
What? That's
Yeah,
weird.
I swore I watched it English subbed. Was it really Chinese all along? Like, I guess whatever. But yeah, Tamako Love Story is a real cool movie. That was like another movie I watched for the first time. Cause like I told you, like Liz really got me like, whoa, okay. But like Tamako Love Story is like, whoa, okay. Cause like
Mm,
there's so many cool moments in that movie you wouldn't expect in a movie like that to begin with. Cause you think like, oh, just a movie about like, oh, two teens, but like one of them is about to go away and the other has to confess her feelings before he goes away. And like you wouldn't expect like moments. The moments that jumped out to me the most is like because you have Tamako and like you have her love interest who's named Mochizo, so literally Mochi, and like her family, their whole deal is like they make mochi. But like yeah, there's like a moment where like Mochizo, he's just like walking around at night. He's just on the city skyline, just like thinking to himself about like because he has to tell Tamako that he's about to go away to college. He's about to go not state. He's about to go somewhere else for college, and he's just sitting down and reflecting on that. And the specific like moodiness here really caught me off guard because again, everybody talks about Kyoani shows like oh my god, it's just they're all animated the same. It's all just moe stuff. But like in that specific moment, I was just so thrown off guard because it's such a moody, dreary, but ethereal moment, especially in the context of the movie.
mm.
But yeah, I was like, whoa, dang. Again, Tamako, like again, all for because he's interested in such specific things, you get like these very specific, cool moments that you won't get anywhere else. Or if there is something like that anywhere else, it's not gonna be delivered in that same exact way.
Yeah.
So definitely get on Tamako Love Story if you can, and Tamako Market. They're our complete package. Do not let anyone else tell you otherwise.
Yeah,
I'll
and I gotta
definitely watch.
Oh, sorry.
I was gonna just say I'll definitely watch it within the near future.
Yeah.
Yeah, we could both watch it because I've got to refresh myself. It's been a while. I saw it once in a group watch with Gollum actually, years and years back, like 4 years ago or 5 years ago now maybe. Um, oh man, yeah. No, so I kind of forgot a lot of stuff. But no, I know I remember the scene was really good. Gollum really liked the movie. I think his favorite Yamada. Still. Yeah. We'll see about putting something like that together if everyone's willing to. It's only like 12 episodes, right? Or 13 episodes plus one movie.
Yeah, real short watch.
Yeah, it's an easy one. Yeah.
Oh, that's good.
I'm down for that. Yeah.
Maybe we could either do like a group watch, or we could do like a cartoon club sort of thing, like maybe after Jewel Pet.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, I'm still way behind Jewel Pet. Shoot, yeah.
I've been catching up on Jewel Pet. I just watched episode 25 yesterday. I was gonna watch I was gonna try and like catch up to like the rest of them tonight, but yeah.
We got this stupid thing in the way, the stupid podcast. We got
Jewel
Pet. You got to do a Jewel Pet. That's the important part. You know? That's priority, man. No, we're way ahead of me, so don't worry about that. Oh man, you ever look at Jewel Pet, Dandyist?
No, I get notifications because I'm still in the cartoon. I'm still like a part of like the cartoon club.
Oh, that's.
I still have the cartoon club world, so I still get like notifications from time to time, and it's just like, oh right, I need to get that removed eventually. But also like, I scroll through from time to time, and it's just like everyone just like yelling about how insane this show is. It's just like, okay, all right, you guys have fun.
not
Like,
your kind of thing, is it?
It's just like, oh, somebody like, oh, one of the characters like murdered someone like cold blood and or something, like they hung up their corpse for like everyone to see. It's just like, okay, that seems on brand for that show. Like, everyone describes it like it's the most insane thing. I feel like it's like it covers that same like it's that same brand of appeal with like Pre-Parta because you were really into that for a while.
Yeah,
I was. It's still the server logo, you might notice. So,
or is it like completely unhinged kids content? So
yeah,
it's not really my thing when I haven't watched it, but it's just like I've got so much stuff I need to watch. Like,
yeah,
shit, man, I still haven't finished goddamn Zedai Shonen, and I told you I was really loving that show.
I know.
But then like
you were pushing
I
that.
still finished it. Yeah, I've been on episode 14 for like a month and a half.
Yeah, you haven't even finished the stuff you want to watch, so how
exactly.
Can you? Yeah, I'm sorry. Yep.
It's like it doesn't help that this season of anime is completely dreadful too. Nothing interesting is happening. So
well, no, that's an opportunity. That means it's a catch-up season. They did this
there's
as a
stuff I wanna
favor
catch up with.
to
Yeah,
us
there's
with
stuff I want to catch up with naturally,
with
but
backlogs.
I've been lazy on that front too.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, Kimi no Iro was like the first thing I watched. That like, whoa, and like this is probably like my anime of the movie. Anime of the movie, anime of the year, anime of the movie, anime like movie of the year for 2025 for sure. Even though it came out last year, don't judge me. But I'd be very surprised if anything actually manages to like top Kimi no Iro because like, damn.
Probably not.
Yeah, honestly, it might if depending on how the rest of the decade goes, it might even be the best anime of the decade, I'd say. But that's kind of a big title to give it. But it's like so far it's probably my favorite anime movie of the last like couple years, I'd say.
Yeah, the only real contender is The Boy and the Heron.
Yeah, that is a good one.
I liked it, but like I think it was really good. As just I don't know. I think there was probably something else that could have been in it at the Oscars. I don't know. There's probably some hidden gem anime movie that came out that same year that probably should have deserved it more, but I don't know.
Yeah, got any thoughts, Dandy's, or which one?
Oh, thoughts on
oh,
what?
the best movie of the decade.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to think. Best movie that like because I told you one of my favorite. It doesn't count anymore because Ride Your Way came out in 2019. So this decade, yeah, I really don't know. I haven't watched that I haven't watched that many anime movies to be fair, because like the whole cycle is just like because like you see this really cool thing, you can't watch it because you have to wait for it to come on Blu-ray, and that could take like a year and a half, and then somebody has to sub it, and God knows how long it's gonna like how long before somebody actually subs it, and
Yeah,
sometimes it's like machine level subs bullshit. It's like oh man. So yeah, I usually don't watch that many anime movies, but it's such a godsend now because like we're getting proper honest to god like releases for anime movies. They're
that's
like
true.
they're not just in there for just like one night only. It's just like one showtime at like a theater. It's like 3 hours away. You're getting like it's a pretty reasonable pretty reasonable distribution. Like it was crazy to me because like I watched Suzume just to hang out with like a couple of friends. I didn't really like it, but still like it was crazy to me because like when I watched Suzume, like that movie was in theaters for like a good like month, and it still had a lot of showtimes. I was still caught off guard. I know
Mm.
like it's a Shinkai thing, so obviously it's gonna have a little bit more of a push. But like seeing Kimi no Iro in the movie theater, like it was. It's not like too far, but like a 30-minute drive, and I'll take that over the usual like hour-long drive for
Yeah,
sure. So seeing the movie actually have like multiple showtimes throughout the week too, and like it actually have like a reasonable distribution, like oh my god, every single time I went to the movie theater it was for an anime movie,
yeah.
or it was just for anime period because like I watched Dan Da Dan, I watched Hiroaka, I watched Look Back, and recently Kimi no Yoro. I wanted to see Ghost Cat Anzu, but I couldn't, but that
Oh
got a
yeah.
pretty reasonable distribution. Like this is if you want to see anime movies on the big screen, this is the best time to do that.
Maybe
So
ever, yeah. No, it's great. Even in my podunk town,
Yeah.
I was able to see it. It's definitely we're spoiled for choice now practically.
yeah,
And
I'm
you
glad for
brought
that.
up Ghost Cat Anzu. That might be a strong one, even though it's rotoscope, but still,
It's
it's
not
it's
Oh no!
not.
it's not rotoscope. It's more like it's like live action reference in a sense. So it's probably
Oh,
closer to something like
Cinderella or Snow White or something.
or like well not snow more like Alice in Wonderland, I'd say.
Oh, really?
Kind of in a sense. That's kind of what I've been using to like describe it to people because like that's kind of the main that's kind of like the very specific sort of like example. But but yeah, I wouldn't exactly call it rotoscope because you could still like see a lot of the animator's quirks and
Hmm.
Oh,
it's like it's not like like you Dandy can also vouch for this, but like when you got to like Kai Ikarashi's scene, like you could
Yep.
tell it was when you
Hmm.
could tell it was Ikarashi.
oh,
or
wow.
but like yeah, it's definitely like referenced live action, and you can also see that sort of like in like the layouts, the boards. It's you can definitely see like how the live action sort of like stuff um worked within like the feeling of the movie, it but for Anzu specifically, it's definitely a lot more like a reference for the animators.
Oh, great. Yeah,
Um
that's not much different than what like the Disney feature,
yeah.
Alice. Yeah, you're right. And like they would hate you for saying, it's rotoscope. No, there was no, it's not rotoscope at all. We or live action reference. We came up with this original or whatever. But yeah, no, this is pretty loose. I mean, I don't think like this. I'm just watching the Kai Igarashi scene now. I mean, I don't think they referenced the part where his eyeballs go in different directions. No.
Completely insane if they because like they do some insane stuff in that movie because
Yeah.
that movie the whole thing is about like oh you have this giant fat cat just doing like a bunch of mundane stuff and they're like
Yeah.
there are other spirits in that movie too, but like the back half because like it's a bit of a genre shift but it wasn't too jarring. I was really surprised on that front, but like there's a lot of like action so naturally it's just like the stuff that they do is just like you cannot reference that or else you would kill like 500 people. So
Great. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, yeah,
yeah.
it's funny either way. Yeah.
It
Oh
it
yeah.
really it really is actually that probably would be like my second best anime of the decade probably. 2024 had a lot of
Second
really good
best.
movies. Second best because just because Kimi no Iro is just
Oh yeah, in its own league.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's
Uh,
only but like Anzu is also like insanely good. What were your thoughts on it, Dandy?
Oh, I was expecting Ghost Cat. I was expecting to like Ghost Cat Anzu because, like I just said it before, it's just like that's one of those things. That's just like those stories are like exactly up my alley, and like you said, like it's not completely rose scope, but like there are some moments where I feel like, oh, this feels like a little like this feels like it kind of did just trace over the model here because like it kind of has those quirks. Because with a lot of like poor rose scoping, you see like a lot of like, oh, the in betweens are really like they just don't consistently go with each other. There's a lot of like boiling lines. Anatomy keeps shifting like crazy. Just like really low polished stuff that like kills. Because like my biggest complaint when I was really young and ignorant is just like, oh, all rose scoping is terrible. You can totally see the actor behind it. They're not the character. It takes me out of it. But obviously, duh, you can there's like good rose scoping and bad rose scoping. Usually the alpha rose scopings, the attempts is just like it just really feels like they're tracing over the model with little to no like nuance or like variance in the timing. They're just relying on it too heavily. With a Ghost Kind Anzu, it's just a lot of those cases, it's just like, oh, it's like this thing feels like authentically timed. It doesn't feel like they're relying so heavily on the model. They feel like okay, if we're gonna like do this thing, we're not gonna like trace the model completely. We're gonna like actually time things out well. We're gonna make sure we're gonna have like really great cleanup and in between, so it doesn't feel too janky or anything.
Yeah.
Because there are moments that kind of there are moments that jump out a lot more because it does feel like oh they're like rose scoping from a specific actor, but it's not. The whole movie obviously isn't rose scope because again they do some insane stuff. People will die if they attempt to rose scope that. But also it works within the function of the story because like it's about like this giant cat doing a bunch of normal ass shit. So like it's funny because like in like the first 10 minutes of the movie, the cat gets like he gets arrested. Anzu gets arrested by cops, and it's just and that's the point because like again you have like this very fantastical character going through very like mundane like just going through very like mundane situations and scenarios, and obviously when you like push it to the extreme, I like getting arrested, it's just inherently funny because you got like this badass cat getting arrested by the cops. It's animated in a very like nuanced type of way, and you just can't help but to laugh. And again, there's other like spirits in the movie too, and the whole deal like they just meet up with Anzu and they're just like kind of like messing around. Like one of the spirits is like playing on a goddamn Nintendo Switch, and the
That
other
was so
spirits are being
funny.
like, I know, and that's kind of like that's just like that one scene is just like the sort of general philosophy of the movie. Just like you have like these very like these yokai, these very spiritual creatures that just organically just become a part of like our modern society. Everyone's just cool with it. Again, the
Mm.
cops sure didn't have a problem arresting Anzu. They weren't just like, oh my god, a giant cat. It's just like you're going straight to the Slimer, sir. So if that kind of stuff is like what you're interested into, then like you're for sure like love Ghost Cat Anzu because like I did. So yeah, I would say that's a. I really wish I saw that in theaters. Really wish I saw that in theaters, but I
Mm.
still got to see the movie. I'm glad for that. So like yeah, I'd say that's a good second place. So good point, Amicus.
Yeah.
Yeah, I still have to see it, and I still I shouldn't have underestimated. Is it Shin-Ei or Shin-A when you actually say it?
I think it's
Shin-Ei.
Shin-Ei.
Shin-A, okay.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah,
A
'cause
pro Shin-A, yeah, that makes sense.
Yep.
I shouldn't have underestimated them. Of course, I should have. It's interesting. They kind of seem to have in the publicity they pushed almost the fact that it was referenced so much. So it kind of gave people the idea that it was like rotoscoped or whatever. It's interesting they did that because then maybe it kind of gets you to. Well, I appreciate that they're kind of honest and upfront about it, and then
Yeah.
it's probably delivers more than you expected, when you actually see it, which I still have to. So yeah, I gotta see that thing ASAP because it really everything about it looks like right up my alley.
I hope you enjoy it.
Oh
You
yeah,
can go.
thank
Yeah.
you. Yeah, I'm sure I will. Yeah, I think that about wraps it up. Any closing thoughts, anyone?
Watch Kimi no Iro. I don't think it's in theaters anymore, but like when that shit comes on Blu-ray or when it gets uploaded on streaming, you're going to watch it. You're going to watch it 10 times. You're going to watch it 100 times. You will write a paper on this, and you will be great on this by the end of the day next week. So do your homework.
Yes, sir. Amicus.
I will say the Kimi no Iro Japanese Blu-ray comes out this month, I think. So with English subtitles. So probably buy it now. Buy it now.
Okay, yeah.
Give Toho all your money so they can so then they can funnel it into more Yamada projects. I
Oh,
think.
Oh wait, actually, I can't believe we didn't talk about it. Like the movie bombed in Japan.
Yeah, I
Oh,
Like,
know.
obviously, yeah, it makes
shit.
sense.
And
But also,
Really?
Because like it came out smack dab in the middle of a typhoon. So like if you went, you are a true Yamada truther. But
Oh
also
no.
like you are really that dedicated, but also I hope you're okay.
Oh man. Just bad
Yeah,
timing, huh?
I think actually it did pretty badly in Japan. Like even when it came out in the States, it did like similar numbers, I think, or maybe it was
Yeah.
it was like oh it got a pretty low amount of money, and then it's like in America it's like oh it also got like almost about like pretty close to the same amount of money, I think.
Yeah.
Oh, that's not
In the
good.
US it made 378,000, and in Japan it made do they have it?
Let me double
It
check
made
actually.
it made nearly 7 million, 70 million yen. About the same much in USD. It's like 400,000, $400,000. So it was like they were really close actually.
Oh man. Darn.
Yeah.
I was afraid
Um.
of that, but yeah, it is a little bit niche. It's kind of
Very.
a movie for Yamada fans and not really. I mean, just people who might have wandered in.
True, true.
Regrettably.
Yeah. But I mean, I'm not really because like she has like the authority to make whatever she wants,
Yeah.
really, because she's been doing that for like most of her career, pretty much. So I don't think this is gonna like be a major setback. If anything, I'm sure they were expecting it to like not do like sell like gangbusters or
Yeah.
anything.
Yeah.
So I think Tamako Love Story was similar, in which like it wasn't like a full bomb, but it wasn't like it didn't exactly like set the world on fire either. But it was very
Yeah.
like critically well received. I think Liz just fared a little better, but still isn't like, like her movies outside of like A Silent Voice, which is like one of those movies that's like sort of like engineered for success. Outside of that, like her more personal stuff isn't really going to be designed for like a wider audience. But like if you vibe with it, you vibe with
Yeah.
it.
I just hope, yeah, that she can keep this up because yeah, it's this is probably her most personal movie that I've seen from her so far. Haven't seen everything from her, but it definitely felt like all her interests and predilections kind of in a very very neat package, and I just hope that she can just keep doing random keep this up for the rest of her life probably.
Yeah, I feel like she can. I feel like
Yeah,
she can.
yeah,
It's just like Ari's just like she can, but it's just like the studios that she ends up with. Can they like keep up with it?
yeah. Can
So
they do her justice? Yeah, yeah. I guess that's the question. As things just kind of seem to deteriorate these days, but it's not just because things are trending in one direction right now doesn't mean they'll trend that way forever. So can't
yeah.
always just like the stock market. Yeah,
Okay.
so yeah,
Okay.
we will see.
Yeah, I mean the worst timeline would just be her like directing a random episode of like Chainsaw Man or like Jujutsu Kaisen.
Oh yeah, the Ray Matsumoto route. Yeah.
uh, uh, um, Actually, well, Heike was like a sort of like an adaptation, but it feels weird calling that an adaptation because like whenever I
Yeah,
hear that, it's like an anime, like a manga adaptation of like a manga. But like no, it's really adapting like an old story. But like she hasn't really done like an adaptation outside like K-On! So
hmm
I don't know, like not like a full on TV series, but I don't know. I want to see her like take her like I want to see her take something like sort of like reinvent it. But I think that could be interesting to see another side of that. That was
yeah,
supposed to be Heike, but even then she didn't reinvent it enough for me. But she did a lot. Again, she still did a lot of like rearranging for that too. So yeah,
yeah.
maybe I don't want to see a Yamada adaptation. Never mind.
Well, one note. I just thought of something. A lot of
Yeah.
directors, when they strike out on their own, kind of like Yamada has, they don't always necessarily. It's kind of a sink or swim, and they don't always swim. We've talked about Mamoru Hosoda on the last podcast,
Yeah.
how that went for him. We've talked about the last attempted podcast. Sorry about that. And Keiichi Hara. It's not always easy, and even arguably Yuasa in later years. like Mind Game was great, but then at Saru, he just kind of seemed lost, or he just kind of seemed to be mired in who knows production or just too many things going on at once. And so there was a lot of reason to worry about Yamada at Saru, you know, which seems to have swamped Yuasa. But here she actually, and then Heike Monogatari, I kind of was like, didn't hear the greatest things about it. So this is very much of a relief that she's kind of seems to have bounced back in a big, really glorious way. So that's kind of the what I'm just relieved, really, and very happily surprised to that my dire predictions were proven totally wrong. So yeah, I think that's a good way to close it out. Thank you for participating. Sorry it took a few tries. Thank you, and say goodbye to the folks.
Bye. I hope your Kimis were eroed.
I concur.
Okay.
Good night.
Good night, folks. Have a
Good night, America.
See ya.